Welcome to Trailwise. I'm Nina Barlow. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 tips for safe and effective winch operation. So grab your gloves and come along. Tip number 1, pull all of your winch rope out and pull all of your winch rope out right here. I see most people will grab this hook and they'll go hiking up the hill. Pulling your winch rope out right here does 3 things. Number 1, you're not pulling against the strain of the winch to hike uphill, which is a lot of work. Number 2, by pulling this rope out right here, you get to inspect all of it right here. And you get to keep it clean, like we've talked about before. Put a floor mat, a blanket, something on the ground, just to minimize the dragging your expensive winch rope through the rocks and the dirt. So I'm going to pull this rope out right here. This lets me see all this rope. So I'm going to pull everything off the drum right here. Not all the way off the drum, just down to that last layer, because that's where my winch can be the most effective. Plus, now I can see, I pull all this up. Now I know how much rope I have. Do I have enough rope to go all the way to that tree? Or do I need to run a snatch block and double back? Or maybe add in a winch rope extension. Okay, so we've pulled all the winch rope off in a pile. We're trying to keep it nice and clean by keeping it on this floor mat. And you can see right in here, we're down to the last layer. When I say we've pulled all the winch rope out, I mean all the winch rope that we're going to use. And what that means, let's go ahead and lock that clutch in place. So now if you want to peek in here, you can see the rule that I've heard used commonly is 7-11. If you have a wire rope, you want 7 wraps on that last layer of the drum. With synthetic, you want 11. I want to see about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way across the drum. Whether your drum is 4 inches wide or 14 inches wide, I want to see about 2/3 to 3/4 of the way across. That way you have good even tension across. If you're at half or less, now you kind of just got a little tiny footprint on that drum. We want to spread that weight evenly. And now you're on that last layer. This is where your winch has the most pulling power. And now we're going to grab that hook. We have engaged the clutch, so it's going to hold right here. Now we can walk it back up the hill. We grab our winch hook and hike much more easy than trying to pull it off the drum at the same time. Here we go. Tip number 2, always keep tension on the rope, whether you're powering the winch in or out. So if I'm powering out, just a little hand tension is all you need. Here's what happens if you don't keep tension on the rope. Just let it go slack. Now you're going to have a mess in there really quickly. It turns into a bird's nest. Even more fun is when it wraps back on itself. So always keep tension on that rope. I'm going to have to pull this all the way out to fix that now. Tip number 3 is safety. Safety third, right? Actually, safety has to be your first priority. The first rule of safety is keep your gloves on, even when you have synthetic rope. Because you know what we have out here in Arizona? We have all this cactusy stuff. You don't want to pick up cactus spines in your rope and you're running there with gloveless hands. The other thing is, so you want to have your gloves on, you want to stay more than an arm's length away from that fair lead. So when I'm running this rope in or out, I'm going to move myself in a way that I am not anywhere close. I can't reach that with my fingers, even if I try. You want to keep an arm's length away. You don't want to let this rope slide through your hands with or without gloves on. Again, see item number 1 regarding cactus. If you're letting this rope slide through, that's friction, cactus or no. That is friction on your gloves. You don't want to do that. You want to go hand over hand, like so, when you're feeding that winch line in. Tip number 4, only one end of the winch rope is moving. So let's say that I'm the one that's stuck, but I'm using my buddy as an anchor point at the top of the hill. He should not also be moving. This is not a tow rope. This is a winch. You need one end of the rigging to be stationary and the other end to be moving. Only one end. In this case, we're saying that I'm the one who's stuck, so I should be moving. I see a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that if they're winching themselves up a hill, that they should be in neutral. No, you should be in drive. You should be using the power of the vehicle to provide most of the power. The winch is there as an aid. So I'm in drive. I got my winch hooked up. And now I'm powering and I'm driving. Conversely, let's say you're not stuck, you're pulling your buddy up who is stuck. You are not moving, he's the one who's moving. However, you're not in park. You need to be in neutral and standing on the brake. Your Jeep is never going to be in park when you're winching. You're either going to be in neutral or drive while you're operating that winch. Drive if you're rescuing yourself, neutral if you're pulling somebody else. And why is that? Because you don't want to be pulling on that parking pawl. You want all the resistance to be on the brakes, not on that little tiny skinny thing that's holding your transmission in park. All right, so we're done. We're unstuck. We're unhooked. And again, I'm going to wrap up my rope and carry it down the hill, not drag it across the rocks and the dirt. So I'm bringing it back here to the winch so I can get it stowed away. I got my floor mat set ready to go so I can do this now and put this away. Now remember, the winch draws a lot of electricity, so whenever we're powering that winch on or off, we are going to have that vehicle running. You can barely hear she's running because she's a 4xe, but we are going to have that vehicle running, so it's generating enough power to run that winch and not kill your battery. Now I'm putting my rope away, and I'm trying to put it back nice and tidy, but am I going to stress out about getting it on that drum perfectly? No, and you know why? Because going back to tip number 1, because I'm going to pull all that rope back off the next time. I'm not going to be putting tension on it if I've got any mess in there anyways. Hey, thanks for watching again. Until next time, you can follow us on Instagram at Barlow_adventures. You can learn all about all of the trips and training that we offer on barlows.us. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell here on YouTube so you'll get a notice anytime we have a new video, including some more winching videos that we'll have coming soon. And until next time, stay safe out there, be trail wise on our public lands, and happy trails.